Welcome to the Wealth Transfer with TC. Today I'm going to be discussing the Iraqi dinar and what came out of the mouth of Prime Minister al-Sudani. This has to do with raising the value of the Iraqi dinar. Now, first, before we get started, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just sharing information, giving you my thoughts and my opinions on that information. And if you guys like these videos that I make, the support links are down below in the description. Now, if there was a video, I was going to show you exactly what Iraq was going to do with the dinar. This is that video. If there was a video to show all the people who criticized me, you, called us crazy, even the media itself, saying all this is a scam, this is that video. If you have any doubts on whether or not Iraq is going to revalue the dinar, you need to see this video. Now, from the mouth of the Prime Minister himself, in this video, that they're going to raise the value of the dinar. And let's just remove the prophetic here for a moment before I actually show you the video. Now, over the years, we have heard from former prime ministers, we have heard from parliamentary members, we've heard from banking members that they're going to revalue their currency, the Iraqi dinar. And just as a quick reminder, 2012, Parliament and Finance Committee support revalue of the Iraqi dinar. That's 2012. Remember in 2014, when ISIS took over a third of Iraq, the Iraq dinar revaluation postponed by central bank for 5 years. Right, 2022, new Iraq to consider dinar exchange rate. Now, the thing about that is that there's so many more articles that I could show you that say that they should raise the rate to $3 or $1. There's been many different rates thrown out over the years. And so I'm not too concerned about the rate. I'm just concerned about whether or not if they're going to change the value of the dinar. And for all those who have criticized and made fun of the people who have invested, this is the video that we're getting ready to share with you that shows that they are going to revalue the dinar. I'm getting ready to play the video. This comes from the Atlantic Council, which is kind of like a group like the World Economic Forum, maybe not as deep. And the title of this video, Iraq's Prime Minister on Building a Stronger Relationship with the United States. So the video itself says that the whole goal of this video is to talk about how they're going to build a stronger relationship with the United States. When they ask him about the revaluation of the dinar, look at his response. Look at his body language when they ask him. And then at the end, look how he changes the subject very quickly.
Another question about the Iraqi dinar. Is the government thinking of reevaluating the dinar and readjusting the value of the dinar due to the current circumstances in the market? Or do you see it to stay the same?
So he asked about revaluing the Iraqi dinar. You saw how he looked, right? He was like, I can't believe you're asking me this question. But I think that when they're getting ready to do something like this, and to be put on a world stage by the Atlantic Council to answer this question, this is very important.
This policy actually is dictated by the central bank, and the government abides by what the bank decides. Right now, I believe we are in the best status that we could be in, and we have actually had an assessment which has given much trust, trust at a higher level from different global parties. So we started reforms when it comes to the banking sector, and when we spoke about that before, but this is going to actually raise the level of, or the value of the Iraqi dinar, and there is actually a policy that is consistent policy that has been the central bank is using when it comes to investments and how they invest the money for our own reserves here in Iraq. Of course, there are so many different topics that we could speak about, and time is always short. But
Okay, so he changes the subject at the end, and the reason why I believe he does that, because I believe that the next question would have been, what is the rate that you're going to change the value to? And to me, like I said, I'm not too concerned about the rate, but you heard it from his mouth. And this is the thing that people need to understand. He said, the reforms that we spoke about is actually going to raise the value of the Iraqi dinar. That's basically what he said. All right, so let's take a little bit deeper look into this. He first said there was an assessment from a higher trust, higher levels from different global parties. They started reforms within the banking sector, right? These global parties assessed Iraq. They wanted them to do these reforms, and these reforms, according to the policy, is going to raise the level or the value of the dinar. So it's supposed to take place. They've already been working on it for years. It's just taking longer than what most people thought. And it should have taken place back in 2014 when the Iraqi dinar revaluation was postponed by the central bank. Because we were all expecting, there was no excuse, no reason why at all whatsoever during that time period that they shouldn't have. But it wasn't the right time. There wasn't a lot of things going on around the world that we are seeing today that's going to make it be when things seem at their worst. So all these reforms have to be put in before they can actually revalue their currency. And that's interesting because all the gurus that have been talking for like the last 10 years, making all these predictions, well, guess what? One of the things that their inside intel missed is that they have to complete all the reforms. So I'm really excited about this. But there's going to be some things for some of you that you're going to need to know later on down the road in the future. Before they actually revalue, you need to be able to put yourself into position. All right. Now, when it comes to the banking sector, not every bank is going to be ready when this happens because they're not expecting it, right? And it's going to be like that in the beginning. And as time goes on, you're going to see more banks jump on the bandwagon as far as being able to exchange foreign currency. All right. So in the very beginning of the dinar RV, it might be tough to find a bank. You might have to go to a bank that is in a bigger city. Right now, if you want instant verification, especially through like a de la rue machine of your foreign currency, more than likely you're going to have to go to a big city. Like for me, if I want instant verification, I'm probably going to have to go to a certain bank in Chicago. I know that maybe down the road, they'll have more machines that they can put in for instant verification. Now, I know there's been a lot of talk about people maybe even having to travel overseas. If you live in a country that does not have a foreign bank, like Lloyd's or Chase, yes, you may have to travel. But God has not made this so difficult for you to exchange your dinars. All right, you will, if you're here in the United States, you will be able to find a place to exchange your dinars. You might have to travel some, but you are going to be able to because this is what God has designed. Now, with some banks, they will send your dinars off for verification. So if you turn in, say like 100,000 dinars, and then you might actually have the money in your account, but it'll be pending upon verification, right? That's one of the possibilities that could take place. This is the reason why I only go with brokers. I know there's a lot of people out there promoting eBay and Amazon buying dinars off of there. Now, this is the reason why I only go with brokers. But there are three things you are going to have to worry about when exchanging if you're not getting your dinars from a licensed broker. If your dinars are not legit in any way, shape, or form, they're going to get confiscated. Then you might also get a visit from the government too as well. All right, you guys have to remember that there's a lot of counterfeits. As you can see, according to this article here, there is a lot of counterfeit printing in Iraq. So what if some of those have made their way onto Amazon or eBay? People aren't thinking about that. Now, using eBay and Amazon is the last resort to purchasing dinar. Right? Say, for instance, if all the stores are out and you want to order some, that would be the last resort. But those dinars that you get, you don't want to exchange them until after you've exchanged all your dinars that you got from the broker. Now, also, you have to be careful that your dinars do not come from a stolen heist. And this is what I mean. When ISIS took over a third of Iraq, they actually broke into a lot of the different banks in those cities and stole a whole bunch of Iraqi dinar. They could end up on eBay or Amazon. And so there might be those serial numbers on those dinars that are actually banned. So you have to be careful of that too. I don't have any issues where I get my dinars from. Exchange of America, Safe Dinar, and there's a couple other places, and I'll put that information in the description and also in the comment section. I want to make sure that people, they are able to get the receipts. With my Exchange of America, guess what? I can go and show this is where I've purchased, what day, how much dinar that I have. Now, at some point, I will be putting out a list of banks that I have found that would be more likely to exchange your dinars. And I'm not going to put that list out for the whole world to see, at least right now. And I may just do it with the people that support this channel. But I just don't want that information getting around and people calling these banks. Because that's what you will do. If I share with you, hey, you need to go to this bank because they said that they're going to exchange dinars, guess what? The whole entire community will be trying to call that bank. And I don't want that to happen. I'll release it when I feel led to. Now, there's about 10 big banks across the United States. So you're going to need to look at those big banks and how they deal with foreign currency. You can kind of start doing your research there as far as where you live, whether it's in the United States or outside the United States. You need to know where all your big banks. You need to know where your Lloyd's Bank is, your foreign banks in your country. You also need to know what big banks like Chase and many others that are in your country that deal with foreign currency. You may even have national banks that deal with foreign currency, and you need to know where you need to exchange, or at least attempt to exchange. And you never exchange everything all at once up front. You may want to go to several different banks to exchange. Now, I believe that the Iraqi dinar will be one of the first currencies to RV. I'm kind of wondering now, since Saudi Arabia is no longer under the thumb of the United States concerning the petrodollar, if they're going to revalue too as well. It doesn't have as much as a return of investment on the dinar, but I wouldn't be surprised if Saudi Arabia does start slowly raising their value. Now, I do believe that the dinar will revalue when things seem at their worst, right? Nothing yet has changed my mind on that there's going to be some kind of turmoil where this event is going to happen. Now, I do believe from my own prophetic dreams, I put this video out about 3 years ago. I actually had the dream, and I've talked about it in other groups and stuff about this, and sent this dream out in my email to various people around 2013. And I saw the krona, right? And all the kronas were at 205. So I think that the kronas have something to do with letting us know when they're going to revalue. And we have other clues too as well. Now, really quick before I forget, that when it comes to checking your Iraqi dinar, you want to use a Blacklight. I have a video about it already. Before exchanging your dinar, do this one thing. You're going to use a Blacklight to verify all the security features on your dinar. You need to do this before you actually exchange. I would recommend you guys doing it now, right? So you need to use a Blacklight to do this. I believe that when the markets, when they tank, and I'm looking it to go past 20,000 and then going back up to past 20,000. I'm looking for the Dow to crash between 7,000 and 4,000. That's when people are going to be thinking when things seem at their worst. Now, I believe that the Vietnamese dong will be the next basket to go anywhere within 24 hours to 3 days that the Vietnamese dong is going to change in value. Now, all the people that didn't believe in the dinar revaluing, when the dinar RV does revalue, there's not going to be any Vietnamese dong left at any of the banks or any of the online exchanges. I can tell you that right now. And I did share with you, you can buy the digital dong on Wise, and that link is also down below in the description. I do believe that the weakness of the dollar is going to reflect in some of the currency exchange rate differences. You know, people have talked about a higher exchange rate, but I think also, too, that the value of the dollar has gone down. So I think that's also going to play a role with that. To go back over concerning what the Prime Minister said, and the Prime Minister confirmed everything that we had already knew. They had an assessment from higher levels from different global parties, right? We talked about all those things way back then. They started reforms with the banking sector, which is going to lead to the revalue of the dinar. It's going to raise the value of the dinar. All right, so for those of you who doubted, for those of you who have family members that doubt you and think that you're crazy, this is from the mouth of the Prime Minister of Iraq. And if all the different former prime ministers and all the different cabinet members and parliamentary members and banking members who have said the same thing, if this is not enough for you, then there's nothing that we can do to convince you that this is going to happen. This dinar revaluation is going to affect this nation. So anyways, that is all that I have for this today, folks. I thank you guys for listening. God bless. TC out.